It's daylight saving time, and I have a question. Did you know that time has a history? It might sound weird, but it's actually true. Quick, try this. Close your eyes. Okay, keep them closed. Now guess what time it is. Now open your eyes and see how you did compared to the time on your phone. Chances are about 90% of you came within 10 minutes of the correct time. That's a new human skill that we only started to acquire about 175 years ago in the mid-19th century. Time as we know it emerged as a product of the Industrial Revolution in New England, and it happened in two important ways. For one, industrial production required precise measurements of time and punctuality. In a pre-industrial agricultural world, nobody needed precise time. A farmer would just begin his work at daybreak and then knock off for lunch at midday and then end his workday sometime in the late afternoon or early evening. The same was true for blacksmiths or carpenters or bricklayers. But a factory required that workers be at their stations by a certain time in the morning so that the machinery could get going. Breaks had to be scheduled and they had to be approved by a manager, and the day only ended when he said so, when a certain precise number of hours had been worked. It was a big challenge to impose this new sense of time on workers who had never experienced it before and workers who didn't own a watch or have a clock in their home. So factory owners installed large clock towers and then had the time announced with whistles or with bells throughout the day. Here's an 1851 time chart from the factories at Lowell, Massachusetts. And you can see that in January, the first bell was 5 a.m., the second bell was 6 a.m., the third bell was 6:50 a.m., and then 10 minutes later, precisely, the workday began. Entire towns, even the people that didn't work in the factories, began to internalize this formal sense of time. And this process was accelerated with the simultaneous advent of the railroad and the public school, both of which used precise timetables. The second way that the Industrial Revolution infused humans with this internal clock came with the invention of and mass production of clocks and watches. In the U.S., this also happened in New England. Eli Terry was the man who, like Henry Ford a century later, figured out how to make a reliable and inexpensive clock that working class and middle class Americans could afford. His successors in Massachusetts and Connecticut did the same thing with pocket watches. By the 1860s in America, there was no excuse for not being on time. And with every passing decade right up to this moment, we've trained our brains to know more or less what time it is at any given moment. And this is why increasing numbers of people oppose our current system of switching between standard and daylight time twice a year. It messes with our internal clocks. Okay, I could go on, but I'm out of time.